We're hearing directly tonight from the state DEC and the federal EPA about the ongoing radiological screenings in Niagara and Erie counties. I sat down with the commissioner and administrator to ask about the progress in finding any hazardous material. Teams have now gotten more than 1,000 access forms signed to get onto people's yards and in some cases into their homes. 710 properties have been screened. 460 of the owners have been informed that no further action is needed. 220 are still in review, and 30 have been referred to the EPA for additional investigation, usually meaning soil testing. Niagara County was first with screenings in the town of Niagara, Lewiston, and Niagara Falls. The process then moved to Grand Island and last week into the Southtowns. That work continues, though the rain from this weekend and into today has certainly had an impact. It's important to remember this process started with an aerial survey in 2023 and 2024. By last summer, workers were driving around an EPA truck equipped with sensors to collect data, and now we're in the middle of the ground survey. I asked the state and federal leaders in charge of this effort what they've learned so far, what comes next, and how they've been able to work together despite the division between Washington and Albany. Great to have both of you back here with us. How would you describe where we are at this point a month in?
We've made tremendous progress in the first month, but there's more to do. And, a lot of folks have questions about, the scope of the work that we're doing. And, for us, it really is all about following the science, following the data, and allowing the data to point us to the places that we go next. And that process has been one that we've followed in a stepwise manner since we began this investigation back in 2023. While we continue to conduct screenings in places of interest, in places where we have property access agreements, the Environmental Protection Agency has already conducted soil sampling of properties. That soil sampling is soon to come back from labs, and that will be the step that will inform our cleanup process of properties, a process that we expect to begin before the winter months.
When we're looking at these areas, we might have an area of interest that pops up, and it could be something naturally occurring. It could be a granite curb. It could be a retention wall. And it's really important that we're able to go and get to those properties and screen so that we can understand what's naturally occurring versus what's been placed there that shouldn't be, what's radiological waste that we need to deal with. Because some things might be above background, but they're supposed to be there, and some things are above background and they should not be there, and that's really where we want to focus.
And that's where the sampling that's coming back will give you a lot of those answers. There is obviously a lot of anxiety that comes with being one of those 30 property owners. What would you say to them to try to help them understand, look, this doesn't mean you're living on a toxic wasteland?
Yes, there is undoubtedly a tremendous amount of anxiety if your property, first, if you just receive a screening letter from us, you wonder what that means. Our first message is, if you're at that part of this process, please grant us property access so we can come on and conduct a screening. In the event that the screening indicates further action is needed, we have a very robust communication process with those folks who are impacted by next steps. So as the commissioner said, one of the paths after screening might be a no further action letter that indicates you receive in the mail from us a map of your property, the data that was collected. You have an opportunity to review that and to call our hotline to talk through that with someone or set up a time to talk through that with someone. However, if your property is referred to the EPA for further action, that involves an immediate meeting with an EPA health physicist who would first meet with you and go through exactly what that means, what the data means for your property. This, unlike other contamination, is not uniform. Each property is not impacted the same exact way. So really, for us, that additional testing involves taking a look at the individual property, the data that's coming in from that testing, from that screening, and talking through the pathway forward with each individual resident. In some cases, we have found elevated levels inside of homes, and that, from the screening process, has resulted in us offering voluntary temporary relocation. In other cases, we found elevated spots in a yard, and we're able to work with residents to stay out of that portion of their property until we can conduct further testing. So because the contamination is not uniform, it means the pathway forward is not uniform in terms of how we deal with the referred properties.
And you know what, ultimately, these aren't about numbers, it's about people. And it's about these individuals, people's lives and their individual properties. And that's why we're looking at each individual property to understand what the best course of action is in order to best support these individuals. And it's why we launched this in the first place. We wanted to be proactive. We didn't want to wait for someone to bring us a problem. We wanted to go out and search for this so that we could deliver for these communities. And we are finding it in some places, and now it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're continuing to work with them to find solutions, to remediate where it needs to be remediated, but also, again, continue this screening so that we can be as protective and cautious as we can.
I read that this was the first large-scale, starting with the aerial survey that was done since 1984. I imagine a lot has changed over the decades from then until now. You know, people might wonder, why did it take so long?
Well, I will say that, this kind of material, radiological material, is something that the Environmental Protection Agency is cleaning up all around the country. I think what's different here is that we went looking for it. And we decided to be proactive and look for it, because those previous aerial surveys, they were done by the federal government. They were done in response to things like the Manhattan Project and understanding if something was left behind. And so we wanted to sort of take the bull by the horn, if you will, and be proactive and launch this together to understand if there is waste here that shouldn't be.
Lately, there is not always great cooperation between the federal government and the New York State government. I think that's not going to surprise anyone watching. Why has this worked differently?
Well, what we're focused on here is delivering for the people of Western New York. There is no secret that there are a significant number of policy differences between the administration in Washington, D.C. and the administration in Albany, but really here we're results focused. This has really been about delivering for Western New Yorkers.
Yeah, and the governor has been clear about this. This isn't about politics. This is about delivering for Western New York communities, and that's why our partnership has remained so strong.
Let me ask you about the Southtowns, because the screening process moved from Niagara County to Grand Island, now to the Southtowns. What have you discovered thus far?
There's no cause for alarm yet. We haven't found anything yet. The reason why we are there is to actually do the screening to look. So again, we went there because we saw some increases in elevated levels from our area survey. That does not mean that we have found any hazardous material there.
So none of the properties that you've examined thus far in the Southtowns have led to that next step of doing soil testing?
I will say that in the Southtowns, we've knocked on every door that we wanted an access form from, and we've requested that access. We are getting out to those towns. Now, I should say weather is a factor. We had a lot of rain yesterday, so that's slowed down our operations today, because when the ground is saturated, we cannot take screening. So that's true for snow, that's true for rain. But we're already working to get out in those communities. And this is really about, again, verifying whether or not there is something that's naturally occurring versus something that shouldn't be there that was placed.
So you made a great point that this is about people and not numbers, but just in terms of the scale of this, of the 30 homes that have required additional soil sampling, how many of those rose to the level where you needed to offer them that temporary placement out of their homes?
So that number remains at 4, which is where we were a month ago when we last provided an update on this. So that number has not increased. However, I think what's important to note is that we are using screening data, real-time data, not lab testing data. That takes about 30 days for us to conduct to make those decisions. So our environmental review team with professionals from DOH, DEC, and EPA are reviewing all of the screening data coming in live time. We have not yet found another property that would constitute such an offer. However, we have found other properties that do warrant additional testing.
What's been the reaction that you've gotten from those 4 families? How are they doing?
Well, I'll start by saying, those 4 families have been through a lot. Having your life disrupted in this way is significant. And, I think it's not lost on any of us just how this overtakes every component of your entire life, how disruptive it can be. And, for us, working with those families and working through options related to temporary relocation, moving is a big deal, and it's not easy. Folks have families and lives and jobs and pets and schools right around the corner. So to be in a place where your child can go to school and be comfortable are all big decisions to make. And I think for us, we've been focused on working individually with families, but also keeping our eyes on the bigger goal, which is to get in, conduct the testing, devise a cleanup plan, and return families home.
Finally, what is the next step?
So we are really running phases concurrently. If we've knocked on your door, please provide us with an access form so we can screen your property. And then really importantly, it's working with those families and those property owners where they have had their properties referred to the EPA for additional investigation, and really making sure that we're able to support the EPA in that cleanup and really support those families at the end of the day.
Thanks to you both for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
The commissioner and administrators say their goal here is to get as much of the work done as possible before winter weather arrives. By the time this concludes, they want every homeowner to feel like this proactive screening has identified and led to the removal of anything that could be toxic. And they know there are a lot of questions, and so as of today, they set up a new hotline. It's toll-free. You can call from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening on weekdays. Outside those hours, you can just leave a message and someone will call you back. If you don't have time to write it down, we will have that number posted at WKBW.com.